Okay. All right. And just a reminder, so this is week 7 of the Homesteading Series. I'm Dane Gaiser. I'm the program coordinator for the Veterans and Heroes to Agriculture program, formerly the Veterans and Warriors to Agriculture program. I work in the Business Development Division there at the West Virginia Department of Agriculture. So here's a little bit of a rundown. So we've got Jason Ekers from Rocky Knob Farm. He's going to go over some tips on buying a tractor, things to look for, some considerations for size, and if you're buying a used tractor, some key points there to look out for. And then Jeremy Grant's going to give us some tips on tractor safety. I'm glad that we have some folks on here tonight because this is really, we've touched a lot of really good topics, but as both of these guys will tell you, this presentation, a lot of what they cover is stuff that's really, life or death stuff. There are a lot of tractor accidents and fatalities every year, and a lot of it can be traced back to, using the wrong equipment for the job or, getting in the wrong situations with it. So, I really hope you listen closely to some of the tips that they're going to give you tonight, and don't hesitate to reach out to them in the future whenever you have more questions. So kind of with that, I guess we'll just go ahead and, Jason, if you would like to take just a couple minutes there and introduce yourself, and then we'll play your video.
Hey, how are you all this evening? I'm from down in Wayne County here. I farm myself, and my wife and I and my nephew do about all of our farming. We've got a high tunnel greenhouse, and we raise quite a bit of sweet corn. And I have a tractor repair shop here at my home, and we do a lot of tractor work. And I actually teach some tractor safety, and I'm one of the 2 conservation supervisors here in Wayne County. Also, I work with the school system as agriculture mentor. So I'm all about ag, and if I can help anybody, it'd be great.
So I'll just kind of scroll through the slides again here. So there was our overview. Jason up first here, Rocky Knob Farm. Jeremy Grant, tractor safety. Then I'm going to cover some business development, just some of our contact information, and then we'll have some time for questions. So we'll get started with Jason here, and let me know if the audio doesn't work.
I'm Jason Ekers with Rocky Knob Farm here in Wayne County. I was going to talk to you a little bit today about buying a tractor. The first thing I'd like to tell you is that when you're buying a tractor, you always want to look at your budget first. If you can buy a newer model tractor with all the safety features that's available today, you will be better off in the long run, and it'll last you a lot longer, and it'll be a lot safer. All tractors today is going to come with a rollover protection, a seat belt, a neutral safety switch. You have to have the clutch in before the engine will start. All these features combined together just make it a whole lot safer for the operator. Some of the things you would look at in buying a used tractor would be look at the rear wheels. Most of the rear wheels are filled with calcium, and after some time, they start eating the wheels. So if you see rust, that's something you definitely know you're going to have to replace. You'd want to look at the tires, look for dry rot, look for cuts in the tires. Of course, if you see that, you know you're going to have to replace it. Another thing you'd want to look over is you'd want to look under the tractor for any kind of leaks. If you see any leaks, you probably want to stay away from it, because if it's got leaks, it's going to cost you money to repair it. So even though that something sounds good, it may not be true. Another thing is, I would recommend have a relationship with a farmer that already knows about tractors. If you don't know any, then you need to get with a dealer. And when you get with a dealer, you need that relationship. Don't jump in and buy something right away. At least learn and do some research about the tractor before you would buy that particular model. Another thing you'd want to look at is the grease fittings. Always look around the grease fittings and see if you can see where there's grease, because excess grease shows that it has been greased and has probably been taken care of. You get a compact tractor that would be handy for a backyard gardener. You could probably run a 4-foot bush hog up to a 5 foot, depending on how steep it is. These smaller tractors just don't have the ground weight that a big one does. And ground weight matters when it comes to safety. So I just recommend you making a plan on what you think you will be doing in the future, because you want to buy a tractor, and when you buy that tractor, you want to keep it for a lifetime. A lifetime tractor is what you want to buy, not something that you're going to have to work on, or maybe that ain't as safe. So it's a good investment. I bought this new in 2010. I've tried to take care of it, and it's been a really nice little tractor to have. We do cultivating, we run a double plow. It's handy with a grater blade. It's real handy on cultivating corn. This here is a larger tractor that I use. I bought it, it's a 50 horsepower tractor. And what we do with it is we can run a triple plow. We can run a hydraulic disc. It's a lot heavier. The ground weight's there. So it's really a lot safer in bigger projects. Of course, you've got a loader here with a quick disconnect, for forks or whatever else that you might want to put on a grapple. Again, look at the grease fittings, and you can tell that I've kept this tractor greased, and that's a definite sign that I've tried to take care of it. Another thing on these, when you get into these bigger tractors, you can look at the wheels, and you can see that all the lugs and everything are tight, and they've not worked loose. The wheels are in good shape. There's no leaks on this tractor. It comes standard with a roll bar. It comes with a seat belt. It comes with all the safety features that you wouldn't find in the older tractors. But this tractor here, like I said, it's 50 horsepower. If you're going to do any farming or round bales or anything, you would want something this size because of ground weight. Just because a smaller tractor might be rated at a higher lift capacity than what you might think, you still got to remember that ground weight's important for your own safety. But another thing I would like to tell you on these larger tractors, a lot of them have a shuttle shift. You can get them hydrostat in even the smaller tractors, and it's really your preference. But a big thing that you can look for is on your filters. You can look and see, does it look like it's been serviced? Does it have a date on it? Does it have the hours? So there's a lot of things out there that I would be willing to help you with. You give me a call anytime, or I'll be online and you can ask me some questions. Thank you, and have a good day. God bless you. I'm Jay.
All right. Yeah, appreciate that, Jason there. That's a lot of great information. We'll go ahead and I guess take a few questions. Does anybody, have any questions about, what they saw there, Jason's tractors, any of his tips?
I have one.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, to some people not familiar with the calcium in the wheels, maybe new farmers, have you heard of adding beet juice instead?
No, I've never actually heard of beet juice, but I tell you, I've used glycol in a lot of people's wheels in the past because calcium seems to eat worse than anything else. But like I said, I don't know everything, so yeah, I've never heard of beet juice, but I have used glycol or / antifreeze. The only problem with that is if you have a problem, which I wouldn't want calcium on the ground either, but that a lot of people in the past have used glycol, and it's not as heavy as calcium, so a lot of dealers still use calcium.
Reason is I was bringing it up is I was looking for it myself for my antique tractor, and I was just wondering if that was something to consider. Calcium, you don't want it to spill on the ground, but I've never been able to find anybody else that knows about the beet juice because it is heavier but if it spills out on the ground, okay, you just spilled cement. I have to add on that.
Right. I hadn't heard of it, but sounds like a good idea.
All right. Well, I guess barring any other questions there, we'll go ahead and we'll roll into tractor safety, and then if you think of anything there towards the end, we'll have Jason around there still, and we can ask some more questions.
Hey, one thing I wanted to add before we move on is
oh, sure.
I have looked in the past. I've went with some people to look at tractors, to kind of check them out and give them an honest opinion on it. When you buy a tractor, it ain't like buying a certified used car. You've heard of that term. So I have, I charge people, but I have went along and looked at them and gave them an honest opinion. And I also want to say is if you run into a tractor problem, give me a call anytime. I'd be glad to take care of you.
Nice. That's a really good point. Really good to know there. It can be pretty tricky trying to look at old equipment, old tractors and stuff, and are used. Jason said, it's not going to be certified pre-owned or anything. There's no, like Carfax. So it's definitely good to have somebody there that really knows the equipment inside and out. And I guess we'll go ahead and pass it off to Jeremy here. So, Jeremy, would you want to do a quick little introduction there?
Yeah, sure. Can you all hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Jeremy Grant. I tell everybody I have an overgrown hobby farm. We raise some corn, soybeans, alfalfa, keep about 60 head of brood cows. And then we've also, the past couple of years, been finishing beef and selling freezer beef. So it's just been a passion of mine. Also work for the Department of Ag, so I get to work with farmers on a daily basis. Did get a degree in safety. That doesn't make me a tractor safety expert by any means, but hopefully a few of the tips and tricks maybe that I show you today, and please feel free to ask as many questions as you can. I'm big on maintenance. Kind of like Jason said, if your tractor and equipment's well maintained, then chances are you won't be off in a rush trying to fix it in the field, and that'll hopefully then keep you safe. So I guess we can turn it over, and I'm happy to ask any questions or answer any questions at the end.
All right, good deal.
Good afternoon, I'm Jeremy Grant. I work for the West Virginia Department of Agriculture, and today we're going to go over some general tractor safety and maybe give you a few tips on picking the right tractor for the right job. All right, today before we get started, some general tips that we want to do to keep you safe while you're out there on your tractor is just a good walk around the tractor. Make sure your maintenance is kept up with. To prevent injuries, the main thing is as long as your tractor's in good working order, that will keep you on the tractor, not in a rush, getting off, trying to fix something, and possibly injuring yourself. So today, walking around this tractor, you want to look for any visible leaks. Make sure the tires look like they're up and properly inflated. You want to check the lights, make sure those are working, especially if you happen to be out on the main road driving. As a good safety precaution, make sure those are functioning. As we move back to the back of this tractor, the implement today we just have is a hay rake, but to check the hydraulic oil and level, you can see in the sight glass back here that it's right in the full range. So as long as you've got some oil there, now this may vary for different tractors. This happens to be a John Deere 5205, a smaller, compact kind of utility tractor. We're just using it to rake and ted hay with primarily. Now, if you step on over to this side, here's where we can check the oil. Simple dipstick. Should have a rag, wipe it clean. And we're right at the add mark, but I just started it and I checked it earlier. It was fine. What I like to do when I change the oil on my tractors is take one of the ink pens, write the date on it. So I changed that one in May of 2020, and it had 2,552 hours. So just something good to keep in mind that way. Your fuel filter sits right here on the tractor, and it'll say right on it periodically. You can drain, loosen that, and if there happen to be any water or sediment that gets in the bottom of your fuel filter, you can do that as well. Something that also you need to do is make sure, this may sound silly, but make sure that it's full of fuel before you get started. This tractor, the fuel gauge doesn't work, but if you fill it up every day, you won't run this tractor out of fuel. So it's just something you kind of live and learn with, and depends on what you want to be able to afford. Now, coming on over here, as we climb on the tractor, I know it's easy and it's young, and you know, if you're young and you want to jump on and off the tractor, but always maintain your 3 points of contact while getting on the tractor. If you climb on, be aware of all the operator controls, where your lights are, how to release the park brake, how to set the brake, and where your power takeoff is located. Typically, it will be a yellow lever. That's kind of changed over the years. This is a mechanical power takeoff. Others are electric, but always know where that is. Be comfortable with your other controls and the functions of the tractor before you get started. And most importantly, your seat belt before you take and operate this tractor. Only put your seat belt on if your ROPS are in the upright position. If the ROPS happen to be folded down, I know a lot of folks like in orchards and different areas like that, maybe low-hanging trees, you want to put those down, but if your ROPS is down, leave your seat belt off. All right, so I know as a kid and growing up on the farm and with my grandpas and my dad, I spent a lot of time riding right there on the fender of the tractor. Nowadays we kind of look at things a little bit differently and know just really how dangerous that was. I know it's easy to say, oh, well, I survived and I did it. But you know, all it takes is one little hole and that kid can come flying off of there and they're right underneath the tire. These are my two kids, Ella and Bryson. You want to say hi? Hi. And I definitely want them around a long, long time. And another thing to keep in mind is your kids get older and they get curious and they see mom and dad do things around equipment, they want to imitate and do the same. So it might even be important to take the keys out, excuse me, hide those, and just keep those little ones safe. Like you said, the rake just kicked loose there a little bit. All it would take would be a kid to be on that tractor to hit the lever and that could drop. So make sure your safety features are in place. Keep your kids safe. Now we do have some other tractors with cabs and training seats with seat belts. The kids do spend quite a bit of time with me in those. But I try to make sure that we're on safe ground, whether we're working ground or just trimming, brush hogging in the hayfield, ground that's flat and lays good. And we never want to take them out on the hill where there'd be a chance of rollover or out on the main road or the highway. So again, keep your kids safe, keep them interested, and they'll continue the tradition. Okay, talking a little bit about power takeoffs and power takeoff safety. It's really important that you have these shields in place. I know you noticed on the in the video earlier that everything was spinning, but this shaft, the steel shaft that actually runs the power takeoff, is inside this shield. So if you were to bump up against it, it would stop and wouldn't entangle you. Others are designed a little different. Some may have a chain on that would go up and hook to keep this stationary while the power takeoff is engaged. But it's always important to watch that power takeoff. Watch your piece of equipment. A lot of farmers are bad about, like hay balers, getting off something jams. They want to crawl underneath of it while that power takeoff is engaged. As you can see, it can be very easily pulled up inside the machine. Also, there's other safety features on this baler. Another safety concern that a lot of folks have with round balers would be having something plugged up or clogged, and they would get in underneath the tailgate of this. This baler actually has a safety latch for the hydraulics. You can isolate the system into the lock position. That way, if someone would happen to get in and hit the lever, this will not come down. So now it would be safe to get in and clear a clog. It still makes you kind of uneasy, and I don't recommend it. But do take precaution and use those safety features that you have. It's important to spend a little bit of time with the owner's manual. Look at your equipment, especially if you get a new piece of equipment, and what you need to do to be able to operate that safely. All right, I know we've been talking about power takeoffs and how the controls in the cab or the operator station may look. This tractor, it's a yellow button. You just pick up and twist to turn it on. But it's important to know that whoever's around the tractor or maybe helping you with it, that they know how to disengage that power takeoff. Simply just hit it and that will turn it off. But that may save a life by being able to get back here and get that power takeoff turned off if an accident were to occur. Another question I get a lot of times is, what tractor should I get? Well, and I guess I kind of turn that question around to the producer or the farmer is, well, what are you going to be doing with it? What do you want? Sometimes it comes down to the money and how much that you're willing to pay for that tractor and what you can afford. But I would definitely recommend getting a tractor as big as possible to do the job, just simply for safety reasons and weight. Make sure the wheels are set out to a good, safe, desired width, especially if you're going to be operating on hillsides. The little tractor up there, I know you're not going to be able to see it from here, but we've got front weights on the front of it. So if you're moving round bales or something of that nature, you've got that weight on the front to counterbalance and keep that tractor safe. Also with the rocks, a cab is a really good option. Again, I'm not trying to be a salesman, but for skin concerns, skin cancer, also if you've got kids, the enclosed cab is a good safety feature to have and really well worth the money if you're going to spend 10 or 12 hours on it a day. Do you want a front loader? What do you plan on doing? Do you need to move compost? Do you need to move a little bit of dirt? Do you need to move round bales? Loaders are very, very handy, but a tractor's not a bulldozer. So that's something to always keep in mind as well. I'm happy to answer any questions. Please feel free to contact me. And we can work through it and make your tractor purchase the most economical and feasible for your operation. Thank you.
All right, so really great presentation there again, Jeremy. And with that, I'll go ahead and open it up again. Does anybody have any questions for Jeremy? Something I would actually, like to ask, Jeremy, Jason, either one. So say for in the case of somebody who has maybe already bought a, 1940s, 1950s tractor or something or maybe they've inherited it that is not, has not already been retrofitted with any type of, roll bar or anything, what things would you recommend they go ahead and do to try to, bring that tractor up to be a little bit safer and what kind of things can they do?
I know that you can purchase ROPS or the rollover protective structures. There's several aftermarket companies out there. Most tractors are fairly easily fitted with those. But again, that roll bar is only as good as upgrading that seat and making sure that you have a seat belt as well to go with it. But from my point of view, that would be the first thing I did. And then the second would be make sure lights and slow moving symbols and things like that are present and in working order.
Yeah, I was actually going to add most used tractors that I end up working on here. Most of the older models, none of the lights work, and there's never a slow moving vehicle. I definitely would recommend that. And the roll bar is always a win-win. But to tell you the truth, when you get into if you get into the 30s and 40s, I really don't recommend you trying to use one of those and utilize that tractor like you would a newer four-wheel drive.
Awesome. I'm gonna try to check the chat box here. Is anybody else got anything they can think of? I would like to open it, back up to both of you really, but Jason, I know when we talked on the phone there, you had mentioned that you worked with a longtime farmer who himself had actually had a rollover there, sometime in not all that long ago. Very experienced farmer. Would you be able to talk a little bit about that? Kind of what situation he ran into. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get him on the call tonight.
Yeah, it's Ken Brown. He's with Cabell County. He's actually one of the conservation supervisors, just reelected in Cabell County. Real good guy. He's a really experienced farmer. But to give you a good example, none of us are perfect, and getting in a hurry is something that he was trying to beat the rain, and he was cutting hay. He'd cut hay there for years, and he wasn't thinking and put his mower on the downhill side, and he ended up rolling a Kubota tractor, and the roll bar protection and the seatbelt saved his life. So he's been real good to go with me when I teach tractor safety and assist me and show people pictures. And when you see pictures of real life, it's kind of a wake up call. It sure makes me think every time I get on one still.
Yeah. Very good. Yep. Jeremy, is there anything you can think of, any kind of I guess accidents or mishaps or anything that I guess have turned into maybe some teachable moments here that you can think of that you'd want to pass on?
Oh, I mean, you always hear stories, and I know one gentleman that I know that used to work for Farm Credit out of Ripley office. He ended up going over a creek bank and flipping over, but just for the fact that the brakes didn't work on the tractor. I guess the bank had kind of washed away. He was heading around down a creek crossing, and luckily, that roll bar and seatbelt saved him. He was underwater, but the roll bar kept it from crushing him, and he was able to get out and share his story. So, I mean, it happens. It happens so easy. You don't realize it. The past couple of years we've had a lot of rain, and this old red clay mud that we have tends to slip and move, and a lot of times there can be different cracks and drops in your field that you may have mowed one year, not had a bit of trouble, and the next, something like that could happen. Even a tree that has fallen down in your field and you not see it when you mow it, if it happened to be relatively steep, if you come up on that and hit it at too high a speed, even that bump and jar could, doesn't take a whole lot. It's amazing where tractors can go, but it's also amazing how easy they can turn over. So just always keep those things in mind. Just because you've mowed that field before doesn't mean that it's safe. It's really dry right now, at least where I'm at. And a lot of times your tractor, you may mow a hillside last year and it was wetter, and your tractor could actually bite and get a little better grip. But right now that ground's so hard and dry that a lot of times the tractor can't grip as well. So it's always your your operating area and ground is always changing on basically a daily basis, if not every year. So always use those precautions and get familiar with your tractor. Don't go out and start out on the steepest piece of ground you have. Get familiar with your piece of equipment. Kind of start to learn the limitations, learn your limitations on it, and always try not to be too brave. A good dose of fear sometimes is not a bad thing with keeping you safe.
Yeah, very good. Lacey asked a really great question here. I actually used one of these for a while there when I was working at Sprouting Farms. That's what they started us out with. So how do you guys feel about the walk behind tractors like a BCS and some of those for folks getting started that are maybe working small scale or like I guess not really requiring a lot of front loader work or anything like that. They can be fairly versatile, but I guess how do you feel about those for beginning farmers and gardeners?
Well, from what I've seen of those, I don't have a lot of experience with them, but I've seen the one that Lacey and Lisa had got, and I tell you, it's pretty impressive. Greg Christian over at Wayne, he has one, and I was really impressed with what they'll do for the size. And it's not just I call a throwaway rototiller from the local store. It's something that it's built well, and for the money, I believe that you're getting good quality.
Yeah, Jason, I totally agree. I think they're a pretty phenomenal little piece of equipment, and for small scale, plus you've got a high tunnel or in tight quarters. I think it'd be a fantastic little piece of equipment.
Yeah, I agree. The nice thing about them, especially getting started, like I said, they're more than just a small little tiller there or something. I mean, you can use several implements. I know there at the farm they had anything from flapper mower blade there to they had tillers, and you could run plastic and stuff for your field crops and everything. So I mean, they're pretty you can do a lot with them. They're not a bad price point, if you're working on a pretty limited budget. I think they can be a good way to start up. And then she also asked, if that is the way you go, how do you go about, or I guess when do you know is a good time to start scaling up?
Well, I was going to say, I would recommend one of those over like an old 8N or some of the older model. I mean, they were just really a step above a horse. And when you get into those old tractors like that, the safety standpoint of them, I mean, yeah, people used them for years and they still do, but especially for a beginner, I definitely would recommend that over an old tractor like that, because I mean, there's a lot of things about those old tractors that were so dangerous. I just think that a beginner would be better with that. When I think they would need to go ahead is when they see that, we're up to 2 or 3 acres here. There's no way I can work this with a small walk behind unit.
Yep, absolutely. And then Nathan, he asked, what's the price range for new versus used on one of those BCSs? And I'm thinking, and actually just went ahead and did a quick little search here to make sure, but retail for a 13 horsepower looks like it's probably in the range of somewhere, $5,000 would probably be the, kind of bare bones. I would say you could probably expect 3 to 6. Lacey, if you're on there and you had a good price point, feel free to go ahead and throw that out there. But yeah, I think you can definitely get a pretty good setup under 10. But yeah, I was thinking in the range of like 3 to 6. All right. Yeah, I guess Jeremy, Jason, either one of you, have anything else you want to throw out there?
I'm not trying to take all the airtime, but I've got 2 little stories I want to tell, because this right here always sticks with me, and I'm guilty of doing it until I actually thought about it one day. There's 2 things, they call it the PTO no-go zone. I would say never, ever get off the tractor with the PTO engaged. A lot of farmers, they think they're, above that. They don't worry about it. I actually had a friend of mine got off to knock some grass off of his disc mower and got just a little bit too close, and he ended up losing a toe. With the disc mower still going, it cut his toe off. So I would definitely say never go there. And then here's the one that sticks with me. There's a guy, I actually own the tractor it happened on. It's an old International back in the early 80s. I was just a kid, but a guy was grinding feed in the winter and had baggy Carhartts on, and he decided to step over the drive line as it was going at 540. And when he did that, it grabbed his coveralls and wadded him up in that PTO. And everybody can figure out where I'm going here, but he never was the same. So that's something that sticks with me, and I would definitely say no matter what, don't ever get off your tractor with the PTO engaged.
Yeah, it's really great advice on both accounts. It's a shame that stuff happens, but it's dangerous work. Especially anytime you're around equipment, but tractors, PTOs especially, they can be pretty dangerous. Yeah, I guess with that, I'll give one more second here for any last minute questions or concerns, and I'll roll into just some of our department stuff.
Hey, this is Jeremy, and I'll just make a comment. If you're looking to buy a tractor, and this is more on the business side of things, but if you're looking to buy a tractor, new tractors typically right now have got really good interest rates, and if you buy used, you're looking at higher interest rates. But if you do want to go the used route, Farm Service Agency, it's your local FSA office, NRCS is usually together, and they actually have their interest rate right now is like at a 1.375%. So that might just give folks a good option if they're looking. Again, I'm not trying to be a salesman. This is just something I'm speaking from personally. I just got a loan for some equipment and got it at 1.375. So that might be an option to take advantage of if you are looking to purchase a tractor anytime soon.
Yeah, definitely. That's really great information. I mean, you're not going to beat that interest rate, I would say.
Well, another big bonus I'm going to add. It was for me. I'm sure it's still going. Matter of fact, a guy I know bought a new Kubota. A lot of these companies will sell you the tractor and give you 0% financing, and you'll have insurance on that tractor, full coverage until the day you pay for it. So that's kind of a good thing also, the insurance. And I would recommend that.
Yeah, and I can speak from personal experience. I've torn some up and had that insurance, and they've picked it up, come back, and like my deductible was very minimal. So my dumb luck, but it didn't cost me as much having that insurance. So that was really good.
Awesome. And Russ, I see you had a comment there. Let you go ahead and have the floor.
Yes. Jeremy, you made a comment that about making sure you got enough gasoline as being a silly comment, but really that's not. On like mine, which is an older tractor, 1949 Massey Harris, it's a working tractor, and you don't want to be out there and run out of fuel. It can cause problems. But also, a lot of times the tractor will not. You open up the tank and look in. I got gas. Why won't this thing start? Well, a lot of these older tractors, like I have, it's been in the family since it was brand new in 1949. It's gravity fed, and if it's not got enough head on the in the tank, gas is not going to go into it. And yes, you're absolutely right. New tractors are a little bit better for new farmers or people who've never been on tractors. And turn this back over to you all.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Russ. Yeah. Sorry, Jeremy.
No, I was just saying that's good comment and good point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and also too, if you're looking at new, versus like those older tractors, most tractors now, I don't know if you can even buy a gasoline tractor anymore. Hardly. I mean, they're predominantly diesel, so that may be something to consider too.
One maintenance tip I'll throw in. You're exactly right. I don't know of any gas tractors made now. But whether it be gas or diesel, I want to tell everybody this. Be careful with your fuel cans, because 9 out of 10 farm visits that I make is due to contaminated fuel, whether it be diesel or gas. People throw their gas cans around. They don't pay much attention. But over time, you'd be shocked what gets in the fuel tank trying to keep it clean. So, that's an ongoing problem that I see weekly, a fuel problem, contamination.
Nice. Yeah. That's another really good point. So, and then also, I guess from your guys' perspective, I know, some farm stores and stuff will offer, they'll have the catalogs and stuff for a lot of old, tractor models and everything like that. If you're somebody that's trying to learn more about the tractor that you're buying, or either doing research or trying to find more information about what you already got, I guess where do you recommend them turn to? And, are there certain places where you've had better luck finding, parts or information about parts, catalogs, things like that?
Well, I would say this, I'm not out here trying to sell for a dealer either, but I'd say OEM original equipment's always going to be a little bit higher, but you're probably going to get better quality. And you get into some of these older tractors, there's a lot of companies out here that sell a lot of aftermarket stuff, and if that's all you can get, that's all you can get. But there's, I'd always recommend OEM equipment because, number one, it's going to probably last more. It might cost you a little more, but you'll get better quality and better use of your equipment.
Awesome. Yeah, I guess with that, I'll go ahead and plug along here. I've got just a couple slides. Sorry, did I cut somebody off there? Maybe not. Anyways, yeah, I've got just a couple slides here with contact information and stuff, for us here at the department. So I'll go ahead and see if it'll roll with me. There we go. So West Virginia Grown, many of you might already be familiar with it. It's the state's premier branding program. It's a way that you all as producers can distinguish your products, you know, and that goes for value added too. You know, if you're somebody that, you know, buys products that you can't be grown in state, for instance, you know, coffee, and you add that value in state, then you can qualify as a West Virginia grown member there, and you can get some added publicity, you know, through the market bulletin. Each month in the market bulletin, we release a list of those folks that are West Virginia grown. So even, you know, for those of you that are interested in looking for West Virginia grown products, you know, on the other side there, you can find that information there, or you can also contact us and find, you know, local producers. And that email down there is the best place to reach us at, you know, West Virginia grown at WVDA.us. And then Veterans and Heroes to Agriculture, like I mentioned, I'm the program coordinator for that. So now we have grown to include first responders, law enforcement, sheriffs, firefighters, emergency services personnel. So, you know, if you or anybody you know is one of those, as well as, you know, we're going to continue to support our veterans and their families. You know, if you know of anybody that would be interested or want to find out more information, you know, contact us at the office there. 304-558-2210 is the best number. You know, Monica and myself are normally the ones that answer those calls, but we're both working remotely right now, so, you know, kind of bear with us. You know, those will probably get transferred to us. But that's the best place to reach us, the best consistent number. And then email vets2ag@wvda.us. And then our planning coordinators, so they're all around the state there. Let's see, we've got Kacey Gantzer up in the northern panhandle, covering those kind of orangish counties. We've got Lacey Davidson, and she's covering a lot of that southwestern part of the state. And Ashley Amos, who's a little newer to the department. She just started there. I guess it's probably already been, I don't know, a couple months maybe now. And but she's covering that southeastern portion. And then we have Nathan Bergdahl out in the eastern panhandle. And for those of you that fall into those unhighlighted areas, don't feel like you can't reach out to us for help. You know, we all kind of team up and try to help producers in those areas find information, resources. So, you know, don't feel like that you won't receive any support if you're in those areas. Don't hesitate to reach out, and that contact information, the best place to start is at that same office number, 304-558-2210, and then we'll get somebody to help you out. And that's pretty much it for the presentation. Next week, we're going to be talking about forest farming. You know, really excited to have that one. I think there's going to be a lot of great information, something that, you know, up in, I think until recent history has gotten kind of undervalued in the state, although it's something that, you know, there's definitely a lot of potential for. We're a heavily forested state, and yeah, I think it'll be a great opportunity to learn more and learn how to capitalize on some of our natural resources. Join us again there, July 28th, 6 p.m. for that. And with that, I guess I'll go ahead and close. You know, if you got any final questions or thoughts there, go ahead and throw them out. But otherwise, we'll go ahead and I guess just end it there.
Hey, Dane, I'm going to be one of the presenters next week on the herb that I grow here, and Nick up at the Guthrie office has been working on the video for the presentation about cutting some nettles and drying them for market, turning it into a tea product.
Awesome. Yeah, that'll be good. Nettle, one of those products that nobody probably really thought much about, but has a lot of great medicinal value, and is something that you can find readily available around the state. So yeah, that'll be a really great topic to learn about.
I just shipped off one package to Great Britain.
Oh, nice. Wow. That's great. All right, that looks like it's about it. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you hopefully next week.
Thank you all. Appreciate this.